For today's video, we will learn one of the most proven theorem in geometry, and that is the Pythagorean Theorem. Now, what is Pythagorean Theorem? It states that for a given right triangle, the sum of the squares of the legs is equal to the square of its hypotenuse. Now let's say we have this right triangle, and this is a 90-degree angle. We draw the small box right here to specify that this is a right angle. Now let's go ahead and determine the sides of this triangle. The sides which are adjacent to the 90-degree angle are the legs of the triangle. This one is a leg, and this one is another leg, and they are perpendicular to each other. The side across the 90-degree angle is the hypotenuse, and it is also the longest side of the right triangle. In using Pythagorean theorem, it is important to determine first the hypotenuse before moving to the next step. Now, what if we have this triangle? The 90-degree angle is here. Now the side opposite or across this angle is the hypotenuse. The remaining two sides are the legs. How about this triangle? The right angle will be the corner with the sides forming a 90-degree angle, so it should be this one. The side across the right angle is the hypotenuse, and the remaining sides are the legs of the triangle. Let's move on and assign variables on the sides. Let variable A represent the length of this leg. Let variable B represent the length of this leg. And finally, let C represent the length of this side. Here, A and B are the legs, and C is the hypotenuse of the triangle. The general formula that we're going to use will be A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. The square of side A plus the square of side B is equal to the square of side C. Or the sum of the squares of the legs is equal to the square of the hypotenuse. Now, whenever the length of two sides are given, we can always solve for the third side. Now that we know the definition and formula of Pythagorean theorem, it's time to have some examples. Let's say we have this right triangle. The length of this side is A is equal to 3, and the length of this side is B is equal to 4. The task is to solve for the length of this side, which is represented by C. Now, this is a 90-degree angle, and across that is side C, which means that we are to find the hypotenuse. The formula is A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. The value of A is 3. We have 3 squared. Plus the value of B is 4. We have 4 squared is equal to C squared. 3 squared, or 3 times 3, is 9. Plus 4 squared, or 4 times 4, is 16, is equal to C squared. 9 plus 16 is 25, is equal to C squared. What you want to do next is to take the square root of both sides. Square root of 25 equals square root of c squared. Remember that 5 times 5 is equal to 25. Thus, the square root of 25 is 5, is equal to the square root of c squared. Here, the square root and square will just cancel, leaving behind c. In this case, the length of the hypotenuse is c is equal to 5. And this is the answer. Let's have another example. How about this triangle? Go ahead and try to find the value of x. You can pause the video and play it again once you have your answer. Now, which of these three corners is a 90-degree angle? By observation, we know that this is the 90-degree angle, since the sides are perpendicular with each other. Now, the side opposite the 90-degree angle is the hypotenuse. In this case, 13 will be the value of c. The remaining two sides will be the legs of the triangle. We can let this one as a is equal to b and b is equal to x. Remember that the values of a and b can be interchanged since both sides are legs. We can let b as 5 and a as x. But for this example, I'll stick with a is equal to 5 and b is equal to x. Both assumptions will yield the exact same answer. Now let's write the formula. We have a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. The length of a is 5. We have 5 squared. Plus the length of b is represented by variable x. We have x squared equals the length of c is 13. We have 13 squared. Now 5 squared is 25 plus x squared is equal to 13 squared is 169. We can move 25 to this side by subtracting 25 on both sides. We have 25 plus x squared minus 25 is equal to 169 minus 25. Now, 25 minus 25 is 0, thus the remaining term on the left side is x squared. And it should be equal to 169 minus 25 is 144. Now, to find x, we need to take the square root of both sides. The square root of x squared is x. The square root of 144 is 12. Therefore, the value of x is 12. And this is the answer. Let's draw another figure. How about this one? Go ahead and try to find the length of the remaining side. The right angle should be here. Opposite this is the hypotenuse, which is represented by variable c. Here, 4 and 8 are the length of the legs. We can let a as 4 and b as 8. Now, let's use the formula to find c. A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. A is 4, we have 4 squared, plus b is 8, we have 8 squared, is equal to c squared. 4 squared is 16. 8 squared is 64, is equal to c squared. Now 16 plus 64 is equal to 80. Taking the square root of both sides, we have square root of 80 is equal to c. Notice that 80 is not a perfect square. What we can do is to make this value into product of its prime factors. 80 is equal to 2 times 40. 40 is 2 times 20. 20 is 2 times 10. 10 is 2 times 5. Thus, we can write square root of 80 as square root of 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. Now, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. We can rewrite this as square root of 16 times square root of 5. Now, square root of 16 is 4 times square root of 5. And this should be our answer in radical form. Now, in decimal form, it should be equal to approximately 8.944. We can always solve for the third side of a right triangle when the other two sides are given. What we need to remember is this formula. I hope this video gives you a better idea on how to use the Pythagorean Theorem in solving right triangles. If this helps, please click like on my video or subscribe to my channel.